Once upon a time, cars were just a series of metal boxes fitted over solid chassis. Thankfully, not anymore, as no one really wants to be seen in a vehicle that looks like a brick.
I don't know, maybe I do, but what does it take to make a car visually appealing, functional, and that all-important factor for a lot of us, economical? A little thinking out of the box as our motoring buddies Julian and Darren find out.
Excuse me, hello. Would you mind, please? Thanks. Some people. Hello and welcome to Cruise Control. If you don't mind, there's a genius at work.
What in Eugero's name are you doing?
Well, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm sketching cars. I'm, kind of practicing car design.
That's pretty easy. I've done a few sketches myself.
Yeah, it's not as easy as you think, okay?
Really?
Yeah, look, okay, well, let's say you check out this Volkswagen Sirocco over here, right?
On carbuyer.com.sg.
Right, it's becoming a really iconic car. So just imagine if you had to design the follow-up to this car, how would you do it?
Well, first of all, I would go to the showroom and look at some other cars to find out more about car design.
Okay, we can both do that, but after that, I challenge you to a car design competition.
Challenge accepted.
All right then.
Accepted. Now, here we are in the showroom in front of the Volkswagen Golf GTI, which is an icon in not just one but two senses of the word. But why does this car look the way it does? Why is it designed the way it is? Well, to answer that question, we need the help of a friend, Justin Lee, who's a design lecturer at Singapore's Temasek Polytechnic. Hey Justin, how's it going?
Hello, Darren. Hi. In the 70s, Volkswagen needed to make a radical change from the Beetle that they had. The Golf was a solution. First thing that had to be changed was the engine moving from the back in the Beetle to the front.
Oh, okay.
The front engine and the square shape allowed everybody to sit more upright and have more space. What's carried over from the first Golf, because it was an angular boxy design, is the very strong horizontals. There's three sections.
Yes.
I think that's kind of a Golf feature. What's also a Golf feature is the hatchback and the thick C-pillar, which gives it strength.
And it's instantly recognizable now as a Golf.
Yes.
Darren thinks that staring all day at an icon is going to help him get ideas. But let's not forget that all cars have to be designed. I mean, let's look at this Volkswagen Passat. This is the quintessential three-box design. Our professor's kind of working away in there, and while he's doing that, let me show you what I mean. The typical family sedan has a box in front for the engine and stuff, a really big one here for all the passengers, and there's one in the back for all your stuff. Now, boxes are good because they create a lot of space, but they can be bad because they can look, well, boxy. So how do you get around that? Well, you can rescue a design like that by playing around with something called proportions. Now, designers love to use that word. I think it makes them sound more professional. But proportions are all about how you play with dimensions. So you could have a car that's really stretched and cigar-shaped, for example, and that helps it look sporty. But designers also have to work with constraints, like they have certain hard points to follow. If you look at the wheelbase, for example, the distance between the front axle and the rear, that's kind of fixed, and they have to work within boundaries like that. So how do you get around a car that has fixed points and you don't want it to look boxy? Well, you can do certain tricks. Like there's a tornado line here, for example, that kind of breaks up this surface here. There's a crease over here that does the same thing to help slim it down and visually stretch the car. And even this chrome line here does the same thing. There are other things you can play with as well. Car designers like to use this wheel at each corner design. They basically put a wheel as far to the corners of the box as possible to make it look sporty. Now that's also a fixed distance, so what do? Well, you can play with certain tricks to make this wheel look closer to the corner. For example, I think they've pulled this headlight around to meet it. And that makes this bit here, this distance here called the front overhang, look shorter than it really is. And there are other things that designers play with as well, like design language or the little visual elements that every car maker seems to call its own. If you look at this car, for example, the front wheel arch is almost perfectly semicircular, and that's emphasized with quite a nice tight crease. It suggests sort of engineering precision and manufacturing tight tolerances, that sort of thing. I might use that as well. Well, let's see. Actually, it looks like Justin's working away, and then I might just turn to him for one or two ideas. So, Justin, does a car interior actually have to be designed?
Yes. In fact, many car makers tell us that you actually spend more time in the interior than any other part of the car.
Okay.
So, yes, very careful. For example, there's brushed chrome in addition to the plastic. The chrome stretches from one end of the car to the other end, so you see you're in a wide, impressive vehicle.
Right.
Everything you touch, I think, is very well considered. The feel of the leather, the grab handles,
Right.
The knobs, the switches.
It really sounds like nothing left to chance. And maybe even the smell of the interior. I'm sure they've spent time on that as well.
Yeah, new car smell is always nice.
I didn't realize actually that car makers or car designers had so many constraints to work to.
Maybe every single little detail actually has a lot of thought and hard work.
Yeah. I mean, I understood that designers had constraints to work with, but it really seems like they do have a lot of rules to follow. And I don't understand how they're allowed to be creative, and yet it happens.
It's almost like an impossible job.
Right, and with all these Volkswagens around us, right, they have this family resemblance, and yet they all look different, and then the next one has to look kind of exciting as well. I'm not sure how they do it. Let's see what...
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
This is my Uber Sirocco, the Super Sirocco. It got shading, therefore it's better.
Yeah, you left out the steering wheel. And
it's here.
It doesn't have any other wheels. Okay, well...
It's been blocked by the awesome front end. Look at that front end. You need to love that. Buy it now.
Okay, that could be any car, but look at this. This has proportions and everything. It's got proportions.
Yeah, it's got proportion and nothing else.
Proportions. Look at it.
It's proportionally disastrous.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, it's compressed, sporty. Yeah. What about you, Justin?
I did a side view.
Okay.
It's really better than ours.
I think the Sirocco should be a nice, clean, and simple shape.
Okay.
Yeah, no overhang.
No overhang. All right, that does look kind of cool, but you know what? Yeah. I think we should kind of leave this to the experts. Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah.
Cruise Control was brought to you by Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, das Auto.
We had the idea of the world's most efficient engines and the idea of assistance systems that are the most innovative yet. Well, then we had one or two additional ideas.
Volkswagen, das Auto.